Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars and welcome to another PlayStation 4 review, and today's review is for Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch's new open world samurai game. Now this is a game that, I'll be honest, I wasn't initially. When it was first announced it looked great and what have you, but I initially thought it was going to be like the Souls games or the Neo games, one of those hardcore type games, or Sekiro that came out last year. I'm not really a fan of those games. I find them games incredibly frustrating generally, and I don't tend to play them. So I didn't pay an awful lot of attention to this when it was first announced, and as time has gone on, I've slowly realised this could actually be the samurai game for me, really, or the sword playing game for me. Because it was clear that it wasn't following the same pattern as those games that I mentioned previously. And it is more like an open world adventure game, more akin to things like Assassin's Creed and The Witcher and all that kind of good stuff. Now, the game is set in 13th century Japan on the island of Tsushima, and the Mongols have invaded. And it is up to you, Jin Sakai, a samurai, and your uncle, who you serve after your father dies, to try and fend off the Mongol invasion. However, the Mongols don't fight honourably, as the samurai learn very, very quickly, and they are outmatched and out-brutalised very, very soon, and Jin Sakai is essentially the only one left, mainly from his clan, and he has to think of new ways of fighting back against the Mongols to get his island of Tsushima back. And he does this by basically realising that he has to become something other than a samurai. So he becomes the Ghost, and he uses more stealth tactics to take out the Mongols, which is seen as a dishonourable act by general samurais, which is something that plays heavily on his conscience throughout the game. Now, saying all that would immediately make you think, oh, this is a stealth game. Well, no, it's not really. You essentially are given free will as to what kind of playstyle you want to use. Do you want to stick to the honourable samurai way, which you're allowed to do in a number of ways, but mainly you can face the enemy head on and call for a standoff, and they will charge at you, the enemy, and then you could take them out one strike, and you can upgrade this ability so that you can take out 2 or 3 of them with one fell swoop early on in these standoffs. And let me just say, these standoffs never become old, never become tiresome. They are awesome, really, really fantastic. Or you can go down the Ghost route and use stealth tactics, and again you can do this in a number of ways. You can sneak round forts, assassinate people from behind, trick them, throw bombs at them, sticky bombs, smoke bombs, distraction techniques, more like ninja, I suppose. So you become like a cross between a samurai and a ninja, if that's what you want to do. But it doesn't punish you either way, this game. If you want to choose one way over the other, it doesn't punish you. So if you like to play games stealthily, you'll be allowed to do it in this game. If you want to go it head on, full on sword play, you could do it as well in this game. It doesn't punish you either way. Now, veterans of stealth game, I'm not a huge fan of stealth games, if I'm honest. They might find some issues with some of the stealth techniques here, but from what I've used and what I've played, it works fine, the stealth approach. But I'll be honest, it's not really my style of approach. I tend to go head on with the sword play and try and face them off one at a time, the Mongols, and take them out that way. And I've been having a huge amount of fun doing that. Now, the game it's almost like 4 stages of missions in this game. You've got your main story progression missions, and you could just do them, generally speaking, if you like. It's not like you have to level gate yourself up to continue the story missions, but you're not really going to want to do that, because the other missions that you've got tales. They don't call them side missions here, they're called tales, which almost are akin to recruitment missions. So you've got to recruit people on the island to help you win back the island and save your uncle, who's been captured by the Mongol leader. So you go on these recruitment missions for most of these tales and recruit people to help you for the final assault on the Mongols. And generally speaking, I've really enjoyed these tale missions. I've enjoyed the characters that I've met. I've enjoyed their stories, and they progress throughout the game, these tales, and their stories continue. They're almost like companion missions and things like Mass Effect, if you've played those games. And they're really, really good, and they're quite varied as well. And then you've got your standard simple missions, if you like. You'll go around and you'll speak to people in villages, and they'll tell you of certain things that happen. They might say, oh, these Mongols have taken over this bridge over here, or they've stole some supplies, or these bandits are, terrorizing this village. And these are smaller scale missions, and you'll go out and deal with those. And those are a little bit more generic, a little bit more repetitive, but they're still, generally speaking, fun to do. And then you've got the mythic tales, which are like stories of these mythic weapons or armor and things like that, and you've got to play your way through them, and when you get to the end, usually you'll have this fantastic jewel sort of thing, and then you'll get like this really fantastic piece of weaponry or armor, and they're really fantastic. I think the tales and the mythic tales are just brilliant, and I think they're really, really varied. I do think some of the smaller missions as well are actually quite good, and they actually they don't all work out for the better. I mean, there's one mission that I can remember doing, and you go and help this woman. She says, these bandits have stolen all my food, I don't have any food left. So you go and sort these bandits out and bring her some rice back, some food that you believe they stole. And then she turns around and she says, I haven't had rice in so long. And then you realise she was lying to you. She just wanted some food. And you've killed all these bandits just so she can have some food. So you don't, even though you think you're doing the right things morally, you're not always doing the right things. So it does blur the line sometimes with some of these missions as well. Yeah, it's, I think for the most part the missions are nicely constructed and well designed, and yes, some of them are a little bit paint by numbers, certainly the smaller missions, but I've really enjoyed the variety of the missions in general, especially the tales and the mythic tales. And the story itself, I think, is fine. I really like the story. I like the characters. Some people have criticised Jin Sakai as a bit dull. I think he's fine. You know what I mean? I've got quite fond of him actually as a main protagonist in the game, and I've really enjoyed playing him. The combat in this game is just delightful. I mean, it's fantastic. It's like taking the best of some of the other games out there, like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or Batman Arkham's games and The Witcher, and they've taken the best things out of those combats and they've incorporated them here. And it just works brilliantly. You've got 4 different stances that you unlock as the game progresses, and each of these stances will give you an advantage depending on the enemy. So you might have one stance that will give you an advantage against people with shields, you've got another stance that will give you an advantage of people with spears, all that kind of stuff. And then you can switch between it dead easily, the stances, as you're doing the fights, and it works really, really well. The combat is a combination of light, heavy attacks, dodge, parries, all that kind of stuff, but obviously you can unlock different moves as you go along. Some really cool moves like jumping off your horse and, you know, slicing people, or running and slicing and all that kind of good stuff. The progression system here is good. It's nothing revolutionary. It's kind of what you've seen in other games like this, other RPGs like this. As you get technique points, they're called, you can upgrade your techniques, and there's a whole array of them for your stances, or all the other stuff as well that's in the game. You can put a technique point in and upgrade it and unlock new moves. You can get new gear, new armor, new hats. You can, as you collect resources, flowers, bamboo, iron, steel, all these resources that are scattered throughout the game you can use to upgrade your armour that you've currently got, or change the colours of it by using different dyes. There's even a hunting mechanic in it where you can get hides from animals that you will need to get better armour and upgrade it and things like that. So the progression system is here, but it's if you're used to games like this, the progression systems in RPGs, it will feel comfortable to you. It won't feel unfamiliar to you. The map is a big map, but it's not mind-blowingly big like Assassin's Creed Odyssey or anything like that. It's a good sized map. There's plenty to do on the map. You've got foxes that will take you to places where you can pray to get a certain upgrade. You've got birds that will take you to another mission as you're going along. You'll follow them and they'll take you to certain shrines or missions or side quests, all that kind of stuff. And I really like how they incorporate that into the game. They say early on in the game that something like your mother's like the birds in the skies and your father is the wind at your back, and it's wonderful because all the things that direct you to your missions are all like linked to the things that they say early on in the game. Like the wind at your back is a reference to, there is no map markers here. There's no line that directs you to where you're supposed to be going. If you want to know where you're going, you kind of swipe up on your controller and there's a gust of wind that tells you the direction you need to go in. It's a simple but wonderful mechanic that works really, really well, I think, in this game. And honestly, this game is by far the best game I have played since Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a brilliant game. It's really well done. The graphics are just breathtaking. It's a stunningly beautiful game. And after the controversy, if you like, of The Last of Us Part 2, it's so nice just to get a game that, it's not trying to be anything but what it is, but what it does absolutely brilliantly, this game, and I can't compliment it enough. I think it never gets old. The mechanics in this game, I love the standoffs in it. They make you feel so cool. Are there any problems with this game? Yes, I think we're seeing one right now, where you can climb through things and you can do it in cliffs and things, and you can do it under houses and things. It's terrible. You can't get through the other end. I don't know if it's a bug or what, but you really struggle to get through. So I think that needed more polish. The climbing of cliffs, ladders, things like that, the verticality sections of the game are a bit rough around the edges. To say you're a samurai, you know what I mean, you're not very light on your feet in regards to climbing and the verticality. So it's not brilliant, it needed more polish in certain areas, I think, this game. But I'm nitpicking. I think this is, for me, hands down the best game I've played this year. There's nothing else come close. I don't think it's a game that I could only recommend. It's one of those that you need to go and get right now if you really want something special to play, something that is really going to remind you why video games as a medium are so bloody good. You will feel like a complete badass playing this game. If you played Red Dead Redemption 2 because you wanted to outlive that fantasy of being a cowboy, you need to play this game if you've ever wanted to live that fantasy of being a samurai or something like that. It's that good. It is so brilliantly made. I can't compliment Sucker Punch enough. I mean, Sucker Punch have always made quality games. I mean, just look at that. Look how beautiful this game is. Look at that. I mean, it's gorgeous to look at. So from my perspective, Sucker Punch, thank you very much. For me, you've delivered a stunning game. I'm going to give this game stone cold 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10 out of 10 apart from some of the bits that are a bit rough around the edges, but I can't recommend it highly enough, guys. It is an absolutely fantastic game, and one that you certainly need to be picking up. So I do hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you very much for watching.